Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Harry Muppet. Welcome to the grand finals of the WCS Season 2 final tournament. So this is it. This is right at the end. This is the big one for the WCS World Championship Series Season 2. This is where it's going to be decided right here. So down the bottom right side of the map, we do have our blue Zerg player, Jaedong, and he has been through a ton of stuff so far. The beating off against Naniwa in the quarterfinals, then beating off against First in the semi-finals. So done an absolutely fantastic job so far. But those were Protoss players. Now he is going up against our Terran player. It is none other than Bomber, our red Terran, down the bottom left-hand side. And Bomber has had some experience against Zerg very, very recently, beating Scarlet in the quarterfinals. Then he went up against the other Terran player, Tasia, in the semi-finals. Sorry, Scarlet was quarters and Tasia was semis. I think I said that, but my memory is pretty abysmal. And yeah, just the games that we've had so far, been absolutely fantastic. Let's just cover them just really quickly for those whose memory of the semi-finals are a little bit fuzzy. Basically, in the semis, Jaedong fought off against First and just had some really, really crazy plays all over the place. I mean, the first one, Jaedong went for a very, very interesting tactic. It was mass Ling transferring into Ultra. So there was no Roach Hydra, there was no Muta, just straight up Ling. And I thought the Lings weren't going to work. I thought, what the hell is Jaedong doing? He's not transferring into anything else, transitioning. And in the end, when he went out to the Ultras, he had got them so fast, and they had the upgrades so fast because he just did not go for anything else. And turned out to be a really, really awesome plan. Just steamrolled First completely. The second game, he went for just mass Roach, managed to take out an early Colossus play from First. And in the third game, he just went for Mutiling and managed to beat out the Blink Stalker play from First. So excellent, excellent play. All three of those games from Jaedong, and very, very well-deserved place in the grand final. Now it looks like Bomber, on the other hand, looks like he's actually going for a Command Center before Barracks build. Very, very fancy. But he actually ran into quite a lot of trouble going up against Tasia, one of the other Terran players in this tournament, in the semi-final, and man, those guys just went nuts. Bomber actually took quite a surprising, at least for me, but a surprising 2-0 lead in this series. Did some really, really great stuff with Banshees, but mostly it was just Marine tank all over the place for both players. Bomber went 2-0, and then Tasia started to fight back with getting out some Triple M tank, and actually managing to beat Bomber's mech play in game number 3. And just a massive air battle in game number 4 with a bunch of Marines providing support. And in the 5th game, Bomber came back. It was Marine tank versus Marine tank once again, and Bomber managed to take out the final game with an excellent, excellent victory. And that took him all the way to the grand finals right here. So that is how he got here. And very, very well-deserved victory there for Bomber. But yeah, I mean, he did a great job versus Scarlet, but I think Jaedong is going to be a bit of a tougher competitor here. And Bomber really, really going for a lot of economy nice and early on. Jaedong going pretty standard. We can expect him to be going for another expansion sometime in the next minute or so, I would say. This guy's going for a hatchery right there. So 6 minute on the 3rd expansion. That's probably standard for a Zerg player playing against a Terran who fast expands, definitely. And with the Overlords all over the place, Jaedong is going to know that this expansion is coming out. Yes, he has seen the edge of that. So that is going to be beautiful for Jaedong. He knows with his 3rd command center coming up that, yeah, there's not going to be too many defenses, but 2 Hellions behind a wall is still more than enough to see off all these Lings. If he gets a couple of Banelings out of this, then he can start to bust down one of these bunkers, come in and really, really do some damage, because there's basically no units out there. 4 Hellions and three Marines. And 3 Marines is not really enough to stop anything, especially with this many Lings. So he either needs to get lucky or he needs to Baneling bust in there. But yeah, it doesn't even really have to worry about these Hellions too much. Ling's actually going to try and avoid him because he knows that Queen pressure back here is going to push off most of the Hellion harass, so that'll be fine. And the Hellions probably know that as well, so they're actually choosing to hunt down these Lings rather than just go in there to Jaedong's base and just start trying to wipe out workers, because yeah, Hellions just take too much damage from those Queens if they try and do that. He's got to be moving in here. Very, very nice creep spread from Jaedong very early in the game. So he's going to be covering this whole area, and he's going to be able to defend his third base quite nicely. Hellions check in for thirds, and they're thinking that is probably at the top right, but actually getting very, very close to being surrounded here. Still managing to avoid the Lings for the most part, but they're getting a little bit stuck here. 1, 2 Hellions goes down, the third one goes down, and the fourth one is just going to have to run for it. He's good. I think the only thing he can really try and do was go up and scout there, but once he was on the creep, the Lings just overtook him instantly, and down he went, so not good at all. We can see that Jaedong is really, really pushing the workers. He has 56 with 10 more on the way, so that is a very, very impressive worker lead that he has built up so far. And he's not really too worried about Bomber at the moment. Bomber is just sort of getting out there. He's going to want to take the third base very, very soon. And he's got a bit of forces, probably enough to push these Lings away for now. So that should be enough. But yeah, a nice siege tank going to be blowing that away. Bunch of Marines getting out with the 1-1 on here now. Jaedong, his 1-1 is a little bit, his weapons are a little bit further ahead anyway. Not sure about the armor, but yeah, Bomber, he's definitely got his production capability up. Going to be producing a ton of stuff. Starting to get some medevacs out on the field. Could perhaps see some drop action very, very soon. Oh, that was a bit messy actually. He's does not want to have that happening too often. Otherwise he'll lose all of his SCVs. But he's just building up a ton of production, getting a ton of workers out now. He's doing pretty well, catching up to the Zerg player slowly. And I don't think the Zerg player wants to get too much more than 70. 70 is probably a good place for him, because otherwise, if we get into the mid to late game, he won't be able to have as big an army, which is definitely not what he wants. So if we have a look at the buildings, he does not even have a Roach Warren here, so it looks like he's pressing hard into the Mutiling sort of tech route. And we will see how well that does for him. And Mutiling versus Marine Tank is going to be pretty effective, because yeah, I don't know if you'd watched the semi-finals from Bomber, but he must know that Bomber loves his Marine Tank, at least versus Terran he likes it. So whether or not he would definitely plays the same against a Zerg player, I do not know. Actually, we'll have a look back. We'll have a look, because we did see him playing against Scarlet, and it was not so much tanks. It was Triple M plus Widow Mines. He bought the tanks out for going up against Taedra, against the Terran player, but against Zerg it was pretty much just Widow Mines all over the place, which is the main tactic we've seen Terran players take against Zerg players time and time again, just busting out the Widow Mines. And they just do such a good job against the Mutalisks, so why the hell not? These guys are actually getting caught up. One Marine gets left behind, did not quite get into the medevac. Muta's trying to give chase, but that little bit of speed gives them enough time to get back to the reinforcements. And once they're back in the reinforcements, the Mutas do not want to engage anymore, because they just get far too shredded. Whole bunch more barracks coming out. We got 2-2 coming out for the Triple M. We've got 2-2 coming out as well for the Banelings, for the Lings. And there'll be level 1 weapons for the Mutas as well, getting all those upgrades out ASAP. Zerg player's got his 4th base out. Income wise, got up to 82, 83. So very, very heavy on the income there. Terran player, he's equaling on the minerals, probably because of mules, I would guess. But not nearly as much gas. So Jaedong really, really pushing the gas, and he does need it for all this Muta production. Whereas the Terran player with Widow Mines and Marines does not need all that much. And look at these 2 Widow Mines, man. He should actually have left them there, because Eventually the mutas might come in, but yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. He's choosing to take them over, put them with the main army. And he's got 4 Widow Mines in here. So he's starting to get up. I feel like the tanks are probably making up the rest, because usually you'd have a bit more Widow Mines, but yeah, with the tanks and support as well, I guess he doesn't want to get that much. Pushing the creep back, always an excellent idea. And the Zerg player just sort of dancing around, trying to look for a weak spot in this Terran aggression. Trying to snipe some tanks maybe, snipe some Widow Mines. He's got the Overseers with his Muta Clump. Absolutely essential, because Widow Mines are just going to be all over the place. Baneling is starting to move in. Marine reinforcements coming in at a beautiful time to chase the mutas away. 1 Widow Mine hit goes off, but I think it may have hit some lings, because the mutas don't look like they've been damaged at all. They're going in for an engagement right here. Really, really nice. They're wiping out most of the forces here, but I think the backside is probably going to hold off here. Maybe not. They're taking a lot of just basic ling damage, and here comes the reinforcements. Going to push the mutas away very, very nicely. And the mutas actually look quite badly damaged here. So the Terran player lost a lot to those banelings. All over the place. The banelings just came from everywhere, but he lost a lot of mutas as well. These banelings actually in a lot of trouble. He's managed to cancel a lot of them, save a lot of gas. Gas is quite hard to come by, especially when he starts losing bases like he's going to lose there. But Jaedong, really on top of it. Already has his 5th base out of the top of the map, so that's very nice. Beautiful flank here, and so Widow Mines are going to try and save it, but there's no way that Bomber can save all of those units. He's going to have to get the medevacs out of there. Some reinforcements coming in. Whole bunch of Widow Mines, but they're not hitting anything especially critical. He'd love to hit the Muta Clump, but it's not quite going to happen. And the pressure that Bomber has been putting on this entire game, absolutely fantastic. We've seen him do some excellent pressure play against players like Scarlet in the quarterfinal, and it's just awesome. And we're seeing that again right now. He is not backing off any at all. Maybe a tiny little bit, but then he's straight back in there. Does a great job, and the Marines are constantly in there. He's got 3-3 on the way. I do not know yet. Jaedong is not yet started 3-3. I think he's got a bit more worrisome things on his plate at the moment, and Bomber just pushing in bit by bit, and Jaedong just like, you know what, I can't take this anymore, and he had to give the GG there. It was just too much going on. I'm not sure where his mutas are, but I think they all died. I think he just had mutas left, and when you've just got mutas left, you don't have enough lings going on. It's just not enough. So there we go. Great play there from Bomber. Nice and early lead in this tournament. This best of 7 series, I do believe it is. I'll get back to you, double check, but I do believe it's a best of 7. So absolutely fantastic job there by Bomber with that early lead. And Jaedong definitely has some catching up to do. Has to somehow turn this around and really take this out. And we know that Jaedong can really put the hurt on Terran players, but Bomber so far is has been quite solid in this game. Very solid actually. So it's going to be down to game number 2 to see if Jaedong can start to turn things around, or whether Bomber will just keep the pressure on. And we know he is capable of keeping the pressure on, but yeah, we will see. Game number 2, check it out. This has been Hairy Muppet. I hope you enjoyed this game.